Hey guys, I am sitting on a dock in South Georgia. It's a little bit windy out here, so I'm hoping the wind's not going to be that bad, but this was kind of the only quiet place I had to try to record this video. Just want to talk briefly about unit conversions. Unit conversions are really simple. It's not a difficult concept at all, but if there's a little bit of confusion there, I'm hoping that we can just run through a couple of things and then it'll click and make sense to you. We do unit conversions all the time in chemistry. So this is a very important concept that you're going to use all year long. There's a couple of things that you need to remember from your previous math experience in order for unit conversions to make sense. First of all, it's that any number times 1 is equal to that number, right? So 4 times 1 equals 4. I can multiply anything times 1 if it's a algebraic variable. The variable a times 1 we know is going to be equal to a, right? So anything times 1 is going to be, we're not changing the value of that original, whatever the original value was, right? So that's true, that's a critical concept to understand whenever you are doing unit conversions, that what you're really doing is you're taking the original value in some unit and you're basically multiplying it times 1 to get a value with a new unit, but really those two values are equal to one another, okay? Something else to keep in mind is that anything over itself is equal to 1. So 4 divided by 4 is equal to 1, right? A divided by A is equal to 1, all right? So if you take two things that are equal to one another and put one over the other, it's going to be equal to 1. Well, you'll notice over here to the left that I have several unit equivalencies. What one value is equal to in one unit, one value in one unit, what it's equal to in another unit, right? And so these are these conversion values here. 1 mile, what that means is since 1 mile is equal to 5,280 feet, then 1 mile over 5,280 feet, since those are equal to one another, that's one over the other is in essence 1, okay? And so that's what allows us to do unit conversions. Oops, let's see, what did I just do here? I accidentally didn't mean to do that. Don't want to erase my unit conversion title there, but it's going to every time, it looks like. Sorry, I can hear that wind. Why it's doing that. So we're just going to have to deal with the unit conversion words going away. So let's do an actual example. All right. Let's say, for example, we want to convert 24 inches to feet. That's a really simple one, right? You probably already know the answer in your head, but you got to make sure that you know how to do this so mathematically, so that when you have a more complicated unit conversion, you can do that as well. So 24 inches, if we take that and we multiply that times 1, right, we're not going to change the original value. Well, in this case, we want to pick a unit conversion over here that includes inches and feet. So we have this one, right? And so if I take 24 inches and multiply it times 1 foot over 12 inches, then we're multiplying it by 1. We're not changing the original value, and everything should, we should be able to convert it to feet. Now, the reason that I chose 1 foot over 12 inches instead of 12 inches over 1 foot is because what we want to happen is we want the inches to cancel out and we want the feet units to remain. Okay, so just in case it's been a while since you've multiplied fractions, let's just go through this in a very simple manner to start with. So to remember, any number all by itself, you can think of that number as that number over 1. And so when you multiply in fractions, you multiply the top part of the fractions divided by the bottom part of the fraction. So when we multiply 24 inches times feet, we get 24 times the unit inches times the unit feet. All right, you can kind of think of the units here as algebraic variables. The bottom part here, 1 times 12 inches is going to be 12 times the unit inches, okay? The reason I'm putting the little dot in there for times is because we've probably you've seen this before where you do like 2 times 2 times 3 times 3, you know, over 2 times 2. We know that we can, if all of these are multiplied times one another on the top and all of these on the bottom are multiplied times one another, then we can cancel out numbers that are the same on the top and the bottom. So this 2 can cancel out with this 2 here will be canceled out by that 2. And so our final value is just 3 times 3 or 9, right? So that's something that we use, another concept that we use whenever we are doing unit conversions. So if we think about things that can cancel out now in this problem, inches will cancel out because we've got inches on top and bottom. And then we just need to think of this as 24 divided by 12 feet. So our final answer is going to be 2 feet, all right? So that's a long drawn out version way to do that. But once you get good at it, it won't take you as long. It's a pretty quick process, all right? So let's do something that's a little more complicated. Erasing all of this. Ooh, maybe it's not going to let me. There we go. All right. Let's say we want to convert. Let's do the centimeters and inches. Let's say we've got 3.3 inches, and we want to convert that to centimeters. Okay. So again, we do 3.3 inches times. We're going to use the fact that 2.54 centimeters equals 1 inch. And so what we want to put on top here is the unit we want to end up with, the 2.54 centimeters. And what we put on the bottom is the unit we want to cancel out, which is the 1 inches. All right. So we can see here that inches are going to cancel out. And our final value is basically going to be 3.3 times, oops, I'm going to do the dot notation, times 2.54 centimeters. Okay, so we just have to punch into our calculator 3.3 times 2.543. You can't see my calculator, but you can type this in yourself and see this is the value that we get. 3.3 times 2.54 is 8.382. 8.38, we'll just round to 2 decimal places. So our final answer is going to be 8.38 centimeters. Okay, so that's how we would convert from inches to centimeters. You just have to remember, right, you're going to grab one of the unit conversions over here, and you're going to multiply the original value times that unit conversion, one over the other. And the way that you know which unit to put on the top is you put the unit on top that you want to end up with, and you put the unit on bottom that you want to cancel out. Okay, so let's try something that's kind of a multi-step. Well, let me do one more simple one. I want to show you another way to write that multiplication problem there. That to me is when you, especially when you're doing multiple unit conversions in one step, this makes it a little bit simpler. Let's say we want to know how many. What do I want to do? We've got let's say 74.2 hours, and we want to know how many days that is. Okay, 74.2 hours. Now, again, we're going to use the unit conversion. There's 24 hours in one day, right? We want to end up with days here, so we're going to put days on top, 1 day divided by the number of hours, which is 24 hours. Okay, let me show you another way to write that to me is a little cleaner, and like I said, it especially is helpful whenever you've got if you're converting from doing multiple unit conversions in one math problem. Okay, we're going to write it like this: 74.2. We're going to hours on the left there. We're going to put the unit on top that we want to end up with, which is day, and the unit on bottom that we want to cancel out, 24 hours, right? And so now we're going to cancel out our hours here. And our final problem is going to be 74.2 divided by 24 days. Okay, so we punch into our calculator 74.2. Oh, did I close my calculator? Sorry. Let's see. What that value is 74.2 divided by 24. So 3.09, if we round that, 3.09 days. That's how many days you have if you have 74.2 hours, okay? Now this, like I said, this mechanism of doing the multiplication and division will greatly simplify your problems whenever you're having to convert from one unit and then to another unit and then to another unit. So let me give you an example of that. And we'll be done with this review. Let's say that we want to convert 5,672 seconds. We want to convert that to days. All right, so how would we go about doing that? Well, it's going to be a long problem, so I'm going to draw a long line here. The first thing you want to do is you want to convert, first thing you want to do is you want to convert seconds to minutes, right? Because we don't have, that's the only relationship we have here. What we're basically going to do is we're going to take seconds, convert it to minutes, and we're going to take minutes, convert it to hours, then we're going to take hours and convert it to days, okay? So first, let's do the seconds to minutes. I want to end up with minutes here, so I'm going to put 1 minute on top, and I'm going to put 60 seconds on bottom, right? So I can verify that we're getting rid of the seconds like I want to because I got seconds on top here, seconds on bottom here, so those are going to cancel out. Right, so I can visually identify that they're going to cancel out, and I'm going to be left with a unit of minutes here. Now let's convert from minutes to hours. All right, well, I know that 1 hour, I'm going to put hour on top because that's what I want to remain, and I want the minutes to cancel out, so I'm going to put those on the bottom, 60 minutes. So again, my minutes will cancel out. I'm left with my hour unit, but we're not quite done with the conversion yet. We've got our goal was to convert from seconds to days, right? So we've got one more conversion here. We're going to put day on top because that's the unit I want to end up with. And I want hours to cancel out. So 1 day I know is equal to 24 hours. So my hours cancel out. And so what is that going to equal? That's going to equal 5672 is what we have on top of our fraction divided by 60 times 60 times 24 on the bottom. And then our overall unit is going to be days, okay? Put an S on there since it's going to be more than 1. All right, so let's punch that in our calculator. What you're going to want to do here is if you just got a standard scientific calculator, you're going to have to either multiply the bottom first, and that's fine. If we did that, it would be 60 times 60 times 24. That value is 86,400. So we could say 5672 divided by 86,400. You can do it in steps like that. That's fine. It just depends on how comfortable you are with your calculator, right? Or you could say 5672 divided by, and you could then put in parentheses 60 times 24. You're going to get the same value either way. But let's just see what our final value would be. 5,672 divided by 86,400. That's going to equal 0.066. We'll 0.066. We'll round it there. 0.066 days. So that's how many seconds. That's how many days 5,672 seconds are. Okay. Reach out to me if you have further questions, and I will see you later.